Hello, welcome back to a new video. It's been a while. I promise I only make videos I have something to say. And we got a new camera, the A1 Mark II. And as a result, we have things to talk about and also this battery charger. And you might have come here because you're interested in the battery charger, because you might have a problem. And that's one thing we can talk about. So if you get this battery charger, is a new dual battery charger from Sony, which they now supply default with new cameras, at least from now on, is my suspicion. You get this charger instead of the old charger, which kind of looks like this, and which has a normal power plug, and this one is a USB one. Now you might have a problem that is not working for you, and that's the first thing I'm going to explain. If it stays black for you, or you have two red, orange blinking lights, you might be supplying it not enough power or using the wrong cable. So let me explain. Each of these batteries can be charged at about 15 watts a piece, so to combined about 30 watts. In reality, it's 27 watts, but we'll get back to that. But at least more than cheap chargers can supply. So what's a good idea is to get a good charger. So in this case, I will show you an Anker, which I think is a good brand. They are the biggest brand, and I would not get a 30 watts. I would get at least a 67 or 100 watts. This is 67, but you can also get 100 watts. They are very small. You can click them open depending on where you live. They have a different plug, so that should not be a problem. They have multiple USB-C outputs. Very nice. Why am I taking this Anker one? Because there's the biggest brand and I like to be safe. I travel a lot on ships and in hotels, and I don't want to bring anybody in danger. So I don't want to have no-name stuff. And since these are sold so many around the world, if there are problems with it, it will be quite quickly found out. So you need a good charger like this one, and you need a good cable. Because actually USB-C negotiates from the power block or the charger or the power bank through the cable to the end device, so in this case this one. So get a cable which I would say at least, let me show you the top view, at least 240 watts, but I think it's also the maximum at the moment. It's quite cheap to get cables which allow 240 watts and also all the other stuff. I would get one which has it printed on the connector itself. So if you take it with you, you don't forget, and you take a black cable with you, you have no idea what it is. So they are not that much more expensive. I think this was about $8 or $9 for a meter. Very sturdy, nice cable. You can probably get them cheaper, but they are not that much money. And then you will have the correct cable. And of course, if we, the nice thing about USB-C, and this should solve your problem. The nice thing about USB-C that you can also use power banks. So let me take, in this case, the big one. I have multiple. Again, we are going to use as an example the brand Anker. And again, for the same reason. And in this case, I have three different ones, three different sizes. And I will pick the big one for these tests, because I think they are nice. And also, if you're a photographer or video, then sometimes taking the bigger one with you, which can charge everything from your laptop to multiple charging devices, your phones, is actually might be a good idea, because you have one battery that does it all. And we get so to how to extend it even further. So we're going to hook this up so that we can see what's happening, and then we should see the lights link up and your problem should be gone. So we link them up, and let's show on the top view. You see indeed it's charging at about 6 watts because these batteries are already full. So it's just checking out and topping off the battery charge, and that's about all it's doing, and then it will slow down. Now if one of these would be empty, it would go to quite quickly after a minute of 10 slowly ramp up to about 15 watts, and then at the end at 80% it will slow down again. So if you have two empty batteries in there, then sometimes it doesn't show you the full 27 maximum charging level, but combination, because one of the batteries might be in a different position in its charging curve. And the charging curve is important. That's why maybe using the Sony one is not a bad idea. But if you put one empty battery in there, it should be a maximum about 15.1 watts. If you do multiple in there, it might go up to 27.1 watts. So not 2 times 15 would be 30-ish, but I think Sony decided to limit it a little bit to stay on the 30 watts if people are using a 30 watt charger. Again, personally, I would advise you to use at least a 67 watt charger because they're not that much bigger and they're easier. But if you're in a pinch, many phones these days come with a 30 watt charger. You can also use that as long as it's a power delivery charger, what they call. So this is actually already a nice solution. It's working and we can see how many watts it's taking. Now one few extra tidbits, I guess. One thing that you can do is actually get also from Anker a cable which allows you to split the cable. So you see one connection here and two connections on the other side. So basically there's a splitter box in between. And I would get one with a splitter box or maybe just pick the Anker because there's some electronics in there that do it correctly. Because again, it has to negotiate how much power needs to be sent to each devices. And if you have a dumb splitter, it will confuse things. So get a good cable. These are about $20. So the nice thing what you have then is that you can actually do a massive amount of charging. So let's take this battery as an example. If I would hook up two of these cables, of course, I get 4 of these endpoints, right? And the nice thing about that is that, for example, you could use your camera, which allows you to charge at 15.1 watts also in the internal battery, which is these days in 2024 totally safe. In the old days, there was an argument to be made that you don't want to charge in your camera these days with all the technology you have. And the charging of all devices like phones that we have is totally accepted. So you can just do it. It will also go full speed, 15 watts charging inside. So if you have a backup camera and your main camera, that's already 2 batteries that you can charge. Of course, you need 2 plugs then. And if you use a splitter cable on both of these outputs, most blocks and chargers have 2 outputs, you have 4 outputs. So you can use one for this, charging 2 batteries, one in for, so 2 for each of your cameras, which makes 4 batteries charging at the same time. And then you have 1 port left, and you can use that for your phone or whatever. If you get a big one, even your laptop, depending on the laptop, you can charge it to the limit. So that's again maybe a useful advice to get some of these splitter cables, and then you have way more charging power than you probably ever need. Now, what is nice about this is that this charger is not that much bigger than the old one. It's a tiny bit heavier, even if you take the batteries off, but it's a little bit smaller. But the nice thing is that you can have the batteries, basically, most of the chargers have them like this. And you can't really charge them in the bag. And one of the nice things about this solution is that they're quite small and they click in. Semi-sturdy, I will get back to that. So you can charge them, because it's USB and you can use a power bank, using USB while they're in your bag. So if you're out and you need to charge your battery while you only have 2 batteries, for example, or whatever, most of them are empty, you can charge them while on the road. And I think this is totally safe. That's why I think this is a little bit more heavy than cheaper chargers, because there's a little bit more cooling, a little bit more metal in there to cool it down correctly. Now, one trick that you might do is to get a cheaper rubber band. Maybe I'll make a 3D part for this and print it. But you can actually make them even more secure in the bag, because I don't think it will hurt if they fly out, but of course they will stop charging. So what you can do, I will do it a little bit off screen, because, well, it's a rubber band and they jump away. You can actually put a rubber band over the end of the batteries, and then it's really nearly impossible to shake out or whatever. And still the USB connection is free, and you can charge it this way. So a rubber band will help you to make it a tiny bit better, and then you can, in my opinion, totally safe charge them in the bag. Maybe not if you're in a 40 degrees Celsius environment and put it totally below your bag, but I think in normal circumstances, keep an eye on it the first few times. It should not become that much warmer compared to other battery charging going on. And many people also charge their phone inside their bag, for example. So a good trick, I think, to use. Yeah, what else can I say about it? I think it's not a cheap charger, but keep in mind there are better chargers, better value chargers, which start about $30. And this is way more expensive. I think it's 110 or something. But the plus side is that if you're really into the Sony ecosystem, this is probably one of the top 5 chargers I've seen in speed, so that they really do what they promise they will do. Most of them will only charge 1 battery at a time, or they will slow charge, quite slow, like uselessly slow, with multiple batteries instead of both doing it at full speed. Now, full speed is also relative, and that will be the second advantage. Of course, since Sony is supplying this with all their new cameras, they're totally standing behind this product, and it follows the correct charging curves for these batteries, which, if you feel more comfortable with it, I would not blame you. The second thing is that they know how quickly they can charge them, at what moments, and also when they're 100% full. They probably know this better than other brands, because charging a battery to full is not like what you and I would think quite easy. It depends on the voltage and some other stuff. So they all have all charge have a cutoff point, but it's not always the same. And what I found with this charger and also with the old charger, that they charge them more and better, fuller in a way, than most others. So I'm assuming that this will be the same on this charger because Sony is standing behind it, and that might be a good reason for you to pick up this charger. So too expensive? Probably. If you get it for free, you don't care. Practical? Yes. Some of the display options are quite low. It doesn't send you the Bluetooth message with some of the other ones I owned. It only has some few LEDs. It does not show you how quickly they are charging. That's again why I would advise one of these power banks, because then you might get some more information. But they work. It's stable, and I can totally see that if you are got it for free, or if you feel more comfortable using the, let's say, first party charger, this is a good option. Let me think if I forgot to say something. No, I think that's about it. Hopefully this helped you with your problem and provide you some more information about this new Sony charger that comes with the cameras. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.